Hi, everybody. It's Elaine here from Elaine's Extreme Paranormal channel. We have a very special guest with us tonight. His name is Jim Malliard from the famous Malliard Report. I've listened to his report on numerous occasions, and he covers a wide variety of topics. So we're delighted to have him with us tonight. And the topic tonight is, the question is, paranormal or not? Jim, hi, how are you? And thank you for coming on the show. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. I don't know how famous the report is, but I'll take that. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question because you asked me what I want to talk about, and I think it's an interesting question. I'm sure we'll get more into it or not, or not. Yeah.
So what's new in the paranormal world with you?
Just basically the show. I haven't investigated in probably. Well, it's getting close to a year now. So, but that's okay because it seems I talk to more people about different topics beyond the show. About different things. So I have more time now that I'm not reviewing all this evidence that we gather to not necessarily sit around, but that's how I guess it all plays out. Sit around and discuss different theories and different thoughts about things. So, well, it may not be out chasing a ghost in a house. I think that in the broader picture, I've probably learned more about the other side of things, the UFOs, the aliens, all that other stuff. So I don't know. I think it's been beneficial to me, especially for the show, that I've been able to talk to these people about these different things. So is it a win? I don't know, but it is what it is. So
yeah, for sure. So do you have anything in particular going on in your own home, or are you referring to activity in other people's homes or other places?
I think it has slowed down here quite a bit. I'm not going to say it has died out. It's not as bad as it was when we first moved in here a couple years ago. A couple of our last the house we lived, well, the two houses we lived at before this one, we investigated both of them, so it was a little bit more active than here. The one 2 houses ago, I took a medium to, and he said he didn't even want to bother going in because he could just tell me from as we drove by that it was fun to be inside. And I said, "You're telling me I lived there for 8 months. You don't have to tell me how fun it was being inside." So, and then the last, yes,
Jim, I'm sorry to disturb you. I just got a message from a producer here, and he says that it is not broadcasting yet.
Oh.
So I'm just wondering, we may have to do the intro all over again and introduce you all over again. Do you mind hanging on for a second?
Yeah, I see live in my phone, but that's okay. Trust me, I understand.
I'm very sorry. These things do happen. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Should start any second, he says, so any minute. So we'll start it again. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, hi everybody. Good evening. Welcome to Elaine's Extreme Paranormal channel. Tonight we have a very special guest. We have Jim Malliard from the famous Malliard Report. I've listened to his program on numerous occasions, and he does cover quite a wide variety of topics. And he's here with us tonight, and our topic tonight is, the question is, paranormal or not? Jim, hi, how are you? Thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. Yeah, I do cover a lot. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but we could probably get into that as well. Yeah, it's fun though.
Oh, it is. Definitely it is. So what's going on in the paranormal world from your circle?
Well, in my circle, it's been, my team-wise, it's been slow, but it seems I talk more people like you and all kinds of other people daily now about the paranormal. So while I may not be out knocking in the dark looking for EVPs and orbs and whatever else on the investigation end of it, I keep sharp mentally by talking about ghosts, demons, UFOs, Bigfoot. Not a day goes by that I don't discuss the paranormal in one form or fashion or the other. So while I may not be reviewing evidence for hours on end, I'm still reviewing how I feel and how I think about it, which I think I don't know. I've asked some team members how they feel about that, and they said, well, as long as somebody's staying interested in it more than, because they're interested in it, but they don't have the time to put into it, like, because it does take time to talk to all these people all the time. So, but I know if we get an investigation, they'll be ready to go. So,
For sure.
that's all that matters.
Yeah. I know it does take time, for darn sure. I'm lucky now. I'm so thankful now that I'm retired. A while back, I was thinking, oh no, I'm retired. I'm useless. Nobody wants me anymore. But you want to know something? It's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I might not be making the money that I used to make while I was working every day, but hey, I'm loving it. I don't have to worry about getting up in the morning at a certain time. I don't have to set an alarm clock.
As I say,
I can devote more time to paranormal and helping other people. So I'm sorry.
I ran into a friend that recently retired, and I said, "What are you off to?" We ran into him at the post office, and I got this, and this to do. I said, "You're more busy now being retired than you were working." And he just laughed and walked away from me because he was out the door. So
that is very, very true. I find myself an awful lot more busy since retiring too, and yet it's busy in a way that I'm really enjoying it. It's not the hassle of
At least it's what you want to do. Most of it's what you want to do. I mean, there's obviously still stuff that you have to do that you can't get away from.
Yes, absolutely. I don't have, like I say, I don't have to set the alarm clock to get up at a certain time unless we're going on a road trip or something like that. So, oh yeah, hey, retirement, I'm loving it. So carry on.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'd love it. I don't know. I was just you've got me in my easy chair tonight. I don't know. That's as close as I get to retirement, is sitting in this chair once in a while. So.
So you got a while to go yet then before you retire, and I'm understanding that.
Yeah, well, I'll be 32 here in August. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, you got a bit of time.
Got a little ways yet.
So I guess you fall into that rotten. Well, what is it? When the government raised the age of retirement from 65 to 67, do you fall into that category? I guess you do you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I haven't looked at it. But probably by the time I get ready, they'll make it 75 just because, to spite me. So, or maybe it'll just be mine because they'll listen to some of the shows and go, that guy, he's never going to retire.
Gee. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that you're in on that, because it's a real pain in the neck. You work all those years, and then they classify what you're getting as your entitlement. Well, heck, you work for it, you pay into it, so it's yours. I
bought some Powerball tickets for this weekend, so hey, it might none of this whole conversation might be moot in a couple days if I hit that lottery.
Oh, hey, all right. Well, good luck.
That's what I need a lot of, but we can only hope, I guess. But I bought a ticket.
Yeah,
well, battle.
Well, that's great. Good luck to you. So, okay, as far as the paranormal goes, you've had, like on your show, the Malliard Report, you've had a wide variety of different things that you've covered, which is great, by the way. I think that's fantastic. Instead of just concentrating on one subject like an awful lot of channels do, and this one included. So what have you mainly covered as far as paranormal goes on your show, or something that you would like to discuss here?
Well, mainly it started out with ghost hunters and investigators, and then quickly I somehow stumbled on a paranormal romance author, and I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking that night, but she came on, and actually now she's a USA Today best-selling author. I don't know. It's dumbfounding because somehow somebody that was listening to my show that night knew somebody, and weird connections were made. It was strange, but she gives me a little bit of credit for all of that, so that's kind of cool. But so that's where it all started. But I've talked Bigfoot, aliens, so I don't know what I really like to talk about anymore. It all starts to blur together because after somebody pointed out to me once that most people, not everybody, there's a small percentage of people that have multiple experiences with different creatures like ghosts, Bigfoot, and aliens. But it seems that most people only have a fractional experience with like one of the categories, either ghosts, Bigfoot, aliens, whatever it may be. So it took me a while to wrap my head around this because I talked to people, and I'd start asking them, have you ever seen Bigfoot or aliens if they were ghost hunters? And they said no. Now, if they were an alien person, have you ever seen a ghost or Bigfoot? And they'd say no. So it's close to, I want to say about 1% of people have multiple genres, so to speak. So I don't know. That's the thing that gets me going, because somebody told me it's just how your mind would accept the experience if it's an alien or a ghost or Bigfoot, which you're more likely to believe. But these people that have seen the different ones, that kind of blows that theory out the water, because they already accepted the first one before the second and the third, the other ones happen. So
Yeah.
that's what keeps, I don't want to say keeps me awake at night, because um, it doesn't to a degree anymore. I mean, this stuff, there are nights that I do lay awake and just wonder too much about things, but
Yeah, I know
now
what you're saying.
now I can just write stuff on a notepad, and I know I can come back to it. So
Right. I know
that's
what you're saying.
that's finally a good thing that I've learned how to shut up, so to speak.
You've learned to control that, eh?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I know, like, I've seen ghosts during my life. Like, I grew up in a haunted house. You're probably aware of that. I don't know about.
Yes.
But anyway, it was amazing the number of things that really happened that I can't remember all of them, but some things were just absolutely astounding. And it wasn't just me that witnessed them. So I know that there's definitely something there. There's definitely life after death. And it's just an amazing thing when you really see things like this happen, when you see people, like one night at work, in particular in a nursing home setting, I saw a ghost that walked up the hall towards me and then disappeared into the wall, just turned left, disappeared into the wall. That was it. Now, this didn't frighten me. I was really quite intrigued by it, actually. And so I asked the other staff if they had known of anybody who had reported seeing such an entity, and they hadn't. Now, whether it was just me because I'm open to it, I have no idea. But it's amazing the number of things that you see, the number of things you feel and you hear. In one particular hotel that I was in, I felt somebody brush up behind me. Like I could hear them running behind me to start with. Then they brushed up against my shoulder, and I could hear as they went by, as much to say, well, you're in my way, get out of it. So have you ever had experiences like that happen to you, Jim?
Yeah, I've seen a couple different things. I've heard different things. Every once in a while, even like today, we were at a store walking around, and my wife was walking in front of me, so I know I didn't walk through a physical spider web because she would have got it first. So that weird, yeah, I'm glad this is video, because you can see that kind of whatever it was, that feeling. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing.
It is, very definitely. Before we go any further, I just thought Hugo reminded me, I should mention too that you can send questions. Anyone who's viewing the program live can send us questions. You can use the Facebook page message button or go through the website channel page. If you're on the website channel page, just go to the bottom right where it says send us a message, and either way we'll get it. I'm sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was gonna say, even if they have a question they're watching recorded, they can send it to one of us, and I'll answer it for them. So, because every once in a while, I'll do a show on my show, Ask Jim, once in a while, just because people, I don't really talk about myself on my show, so I like answering questions once in a while. So,
yeah. Well, that's great. Well, that's good to know. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So there you go, folks. If anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in. And the topic that we're talking about tonight is, the question is, paranormal or not? So, Jim, if you don't mind my asking, some of the investigations that you've been on, have you found an awful lot of, how shall we say, information that you can debunk? Have you found a lot of information that appears to be false that you have proven to be false or true?
I was gonna say, actually, most of the well, I don't want to, how do I say, not almost, most is probably too much, but 50-50 claims. Sometimes, most of the time, well, 50-50. Let's take the 50 of the non-paranormal variety, and a good portion of that is just anxious nerves. Winter sets in and things start twitching, house noises, all that stuff. Every once in a random while, you'll get somebody will actually do something really stupid, like close off their windows for winter, and not let any air out, and then have kerosene heaters in their house so they give themselves carbon monoxide poisoning,
Oh
and
yeah.
will start hallucinating for that. So I mean, that isn't necessarily paranormal activity. That's just activity that, well, needed addressed, and thankfully we got there and realized what was going on and let them, not just, we don't want to let all their heat out, but just let a little fresh air in when it, well, didn't hurt them, and then the activity stopped magically. But so there's all that, and then but there are the cases where we I don't want to say we got definitive anything. I mean, there's EVPs and stuff off the ghost box, and we have a couple team
Right.
members that can douse and all that other stuff. So, well, it's not anything that it's scientific by, it's not scientific by any stretch of the imagination. It confirmed for us what the homeowner or the client was telling us. So, well, still more questions than answers often, because then we start digging into Joe Smith, for the lack of a better thing, and wondering why he's still there, because he only lived there for 4 or 5 months instead of somewhere else. And you go, why is he still here? It just, I mean, he lived there, but to come back to this house that he was only in for a few months, just, I
Mhm.
don't, I, sometimes I wonder about why, but it's all a process that's kind of led us to today, where it seems the old line, the truth is stranger than fiction. I've pretty much come to accept that as a rule of life. So
It seems so, yeah, for sure. And some things, excuse me, I'm sorry. Some things can be so easily debunked, like if you have electrical wiring, that kind of a thing.
oh yeah,
Folks
yeah.
buy, and all of a sudden they feel nauseated, they feel headaches, they feel dizzy, these kind of things. And quite often, just a simple check with the meter can
Yeah,
debunk that.
I was gonna say we had two cases of little children in different apartment buildings where they were seeing things and experiencing things only when they were in bed. And I said, well, both cases we went and looked, and I went outside and went for a walk because I couldn't figure it out. I wasn't. I don't want to say I'm a medium by any stretch of the imagination, but it just didn't. It felt calmer than calm, and couldn't figure out the first one. And the first one, I walked outside, had a couple team members that smoked, so we walked outside, and I just, I don't smoke, but secondhand smoke, it's cheaper but more dangerous. And
Yes.
so we were standing out there, and I said, "There's all the power coming into that 4-unit apartment building. It's coming in this unit. Where is that at in the house?" And one of my team members looked at me and said, "You're an idiot." And I said, "Why am I an idiot?" And they said, "That's right about where the little girl's room is." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go upstairs because there's a window on the one wall." I said, "I'm going to go upstairs and stick my head out the window, and then we'll know where we're at." So I went upstairs and stuck my head out the window in the little girl's room, and sure enough, I could probably reach out and touch these wires. And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." So there's hundreds of volts of electricity already in the wall behind I'm like, "Oh, good grief, okay." So we told them to move our bed, and they moved it to the other wall, and yep, sure enough, that seemed to fix most
Right.
of the problem.
That'll do it.
Of course,
Right.
the children see more anyways, but
Oh,
I
they
don't
do,
think
and
I
they
don't
don't
think we
seem
need
to
to add
have.
that to it.
Yeah, they don't seem to have the fear that we do. And yet, as a child growing up, I grew up in a haunted house, and I was terrified of it. And I thought, gee, if we could just get out of that house, maybe all the problems would be solved. But looking back on all those years, and looking back on the education that I've had since then, I realized that just moving away would not necessarily be the problem. They could follow us. But yes, I was terrified as a child, but then when I grew up, became an adult, I became more interested in it, and I wanted to help people who have gone through the same thing, or who are currently going through the same thing. So yes, and children are very, very open to that kind of stuff, especially demons who say they want to be your friends when they really don't.
That's a good life lesson, though. No,
Yes, for sure.
um,
Absolutely.
actually, my son is why I started investigating. I guess I'll tell you this story. We were in Gettysburg, and he was 7, 8 months old, and we were in one of these haunted cellars. There was us and another older. Oh goodness, they were sweet people. They were probably 60 or 70, and they were sitting there. We had our son with us, and he's carrying on. The guy comes in, starts telling me stories, and we're enjoying it. It's he's great at what he's doing. And then my son starts babbling off at this little thing that he can't see, and I'm sitting there going, he's never done. I mean, he's babbled a little bit, but he's just going, and I'm like, huh. And then the guy just like stops, like he forgets, he's been doing this whole scripted thing, and then realizes something weird's going on that he can, So he stops and he's like, maybe he's playing with the child that was killed out front of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there going, okay. And then he gets the dowsing rods out. Meanwhile, I've never seen these things, and and they start crossing, but it's more of the babble that my son's doing that kind of gets me interested in thinking, and he's going off, and these rods are moving, but it's more the thing that I know that isn't right in the room that's keeping my attention. And then all of a sudden, the rods stop moving, he stops talking, and that caught my attention too, because there's no connection there. So the next day we go out to Devil's Den, and there's a group of probably 20 tourists out there on top of Devil's Den looking up towards Little Round Top. And I look at my wife and say, I should go get my picture taken with the reenactor. And she looks over and, kind of gives me that look like I'm full of something. And then I look over to all these other people, and they're just staring, like, at this reenactor. And then my wife's like, and then she turned and looked back at me, and like I could see, she saw it once, but then it wasn't there. But I'm still seeing it because I have, so I start walking over to him, and this other group of people are just kind of like frozen. And I turned to look over my shoulder and say, are you coming? Because, she had the camera. And I look back up and he's gone. I'm like, where did he go? And somebody said, he was never there. I said, no, there's that guy dressed up like, I took off down over the hill to find, kind of got that far. And
right.
Sure enough. That was my first real experience that I can remember. I guess I had some as a child, but I don't remember them. So.
Oh, that's really good. That's interesting to hear. I've got a question here for you, Jim. Someone had posted here, I believe it was Kat. She says, has Jim posted any of his evidence, EVPs or pics, any place for us to see?
mpit.org, mpit.org. We did an investigation for a couple local radio stations. Goodness, that'd be 4 years ago. Well, it'd be 4 years on Halloween. And you can go over there and find all that. That's probably the only case we've done that we've posted evidence from, because most of the time we do private residences, and most of them tell us if we want to post it, and I just never felt right about posting pictures or something else from inside of somebody else's house. I wouldn't want somebody else posting random pictures of my house, so. Or, because I don't know, audio I guess we probably could do, but I don't know. So, just never have. Just been a policy to keep it off because, I don't know, it seems. And most of the time, it's such a short clip that it's hard to even, I don't know.
Yeah, I know, and sometimes you don't always think of it. Like that night at work when I had that experience with the ghost coming up the hall towards me and then just turning and walking into the wall. Well, of course, I didn't have a camera with me, and gee, I wish I had, because it hopefully would have given me some proof. But you don't normally take a camera to work with you, so. Well, actually, it was one of those things. I had no proof.
The last interview I did, somebody asked me what the most frustrating part about investigating was, and I said the most frustrating part about investigating is investigating, because you'll go out for 6 to 8 hours, with all this equipment running, and as soon as you turn everything off, or when you just roll in the door, and everybody will look at each other like, did you hear that? And oh yeah, we all heard it, but nobody had a recorder out. So yeah.
It never seems to fail. Yeah, I know what you're saying. And then that night in the hotel when I had that particular spirit come up behind me and make the noise as he went by. Well, I didn't have a camera with me then either, and it'd be just so nice to have a camera, so bang, you could take this darn stuff as it happens, but you don't always get that opportunity. So
yeah, well, even when you had the camera rolling, I was sitting on an investigation one night in a room, and the camera was in one corner. I was sitting in focus in the screen, and behind the camera, this whole I don't want to say a whole table service moved, but I watched this like cup move about 4 inches on a table, and I went,
Wow.
"Yep, of course it did," because the camera is right behind. So it didn't fail. So even if you do have cameras, you got to have it pointed in the right direction. Which
Yeah,
I don't know. Sometimes
absolutely.
Sometimes I want to just buy a whole bunch of fake cameras so nobody knows which ones have had.
Probably the ghosts could tell, though. That's the only thing.
Yeah,
And they're sneaky
probably.
little devils, too, I noticed, because if you want them to do something, 9 times out of 10 they won't, because you and I both know they don't operate on command. They don't work on a time schedule or a time clock.
Yeah.
But as you say, quite often once you turn your cameras off, that's when things start happening, and then you don't have the proof to say, well, here, there it is, folks, this really happened.
Yep. Yep. It's that's where it becomes, is it paranormal or not? And
Right.
I don't know. That's what gets me, because as much I believe, I believe in it more now, because I've heard hundreds. I don't know, maybe hundreds. I guess that's probably a bold statement. At least 100, probably, stories of different ghost activity. But when I look at video and pictures and audio, I've never really heard EVPs well, because apparently my male frequency of hearing is beyond it. Somebody told me, and I kind of believe it because I don't hear them. And in video, it's just, with so many Photoshops anymore, it's just, I just kind of just get frustrated by looking at videos, because every time I look at a video and a snake pops up or something stupid, so I've given up on all that. Well, I haven't
Really?
Yeah, haven't you? Apparently, you've never been sent one of those. You're sitting there watching this video, and then a snake pop. Never mind. I've just ruined some practical joke somebody was probably going to play on.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like the one where all of a sudden, like you're watching this video and they say, oh, very, very dangerous. Don't watch if you're easily scared. And all of a sudden this thing comes up at you and screams at you. Is that the tape you mean?
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of like that. But there have been a couple that have been like investigation footage wise that people have put together.
Okay.
Apparently they needed views or something. I don't know. Like, maybe I should do that for views. I don't know. But
oh, good grief. Yeah, Kat's got another comment here. She says we should maybe have all those GoPros with us 24/7 to maybe catch something.
Again,
might be a good idea.
It'd still be out of focus, or it'd be dead, or it just.
Oh, probably. Yeah, or they'd steal the power from the batteries or something.
Yeah, as much as you want it to happen, it just. It'd be beside you or behind you or somewhere you weren't. I don't know. There's always an out.
Yeah, they don't perform when you ask them to. Like, I have to laugh, on these TV shows with there's not ghost investigations. What the heck is it? Oh, I keep forgetting. The Ghost Adventures.
Ghost Hunters.
Yes. And they always, and they put the flashlight out there. Can you turn this flashlight on for us on the count of 3? Well, we all know that ghosts are not going to react just because you say on the count of 3. So, I mean, it is kind of comical. Can you turn it on and it automatically comes on? Can you turn it off? It automatically shuts off. It's just amazing the stuff you hear. And then some of these old spirits are trying to contact and they say, can you give me the remaining taps to this? And they expect in the background. Well, not all of them know that. So it's kind of crazy as far as I'm concerned. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, well, the TV shows it took me a long time to come to grips with it, but they're entertainment. And actually, I had a couple members of the Ghost Hunters International on it's way back 2012, I think it was. And one of them hung out with me we were on the phone for almost 2.5 hours after the show, and he kind of laid it all out on the table. Kind of laid it all out on the table for me, and told me a lot of things he shouldn't have told me, apparently. But based off the email he sent me the next day. But yeah, it's a lot of entertainment. It's a lot of edited for TV, which that's what they do. I mean, it's a TV show,
right? Right. And like they've got ratings they have to keep up, and if the ratings go down, the show goes down. So let's face it, I understand. And they more or less have to make sure that something always happens every show, or people aren't going to watch it. So
Yeah, they've got an amazing track record of events, but I guess when you spend that much, they spend 3 to 4 days on a location, so investigating most
right,
every night. So
right.
I guess the volume helps them, and
Oh, probably, for sure.
in worst case, they have sound effects and other things that they can fill in the blanks with. So
Yeah. I know one place I would love to investigate is the Tower of London, because for years I have really been wanting to contact the spirit of Anne Boleyn. And she apparently haunts the Tower of London as well as Blickling Hall, where she was born. Hampton Court, apparently she haunts there as well. And I do have a number of EVPs that really sounded very, very interesting, I should say. In fact, on one, I was kind of giving Henry VIII a little bit of a rough time by saying, well, now according to the movie Anne of a Thousand Days, you were kind of cruel with your wife Anne, and you slapped her around a few times. And in the EVP, I heard a very, very British male voice saying, I did not. Well, that was kind of interesting because it was within seconds that I heard that. So I'm just assuming that was Henry VIII that said that.
well, that's an interesting. It's interesting. I don't even know what that's just. I don't know. Sometimes that just the connections that you can when you get a person that you actually know the story on, even if it's a famous person or a not famous person, and then you leave with another piece that you could put in the puzzle. Now, if you can confirm it or not is a whole nother can of worms, which is again why I always say that there's always more questions than answers, no matter
True.
no matter how the investigation comes out.
Right.
There are more
It just
questions than answers.
seemed, yeah, it just seemed odd to me that very male voice, a very British voice, I did not. And within seconds after I had said that. And then there was another one where I asked Queen Anne Boleyn, is Henry trying to prevent you from talking? And she said, yes. And I started giving him a little bit of a hard time. I know I'm not really an advocate of provocation, but in that particular case, I was thinking, okay, let's see, are we really getting the people that we're after, or are we just getting a renegade kind of a response? Well, it seemed really interesting, the responses I got.
There's a big difference between provocation and asking, how do I say this, hard questions. Now,
Yes.
if you're sitting there calling them a blah, 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 blankety blank, that's provocation. Now, if you're just razzing them for not letting somebody else talk, yeah, that's you'd be doing that in real life. That's not screaming across the table like a whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I kept that point very PG. I'm proud of myself.
Oh, you mean you had to bite your tongue? That's not
no.
good.
I didn't bite my tongue, but I kept it clean because sometimes there's a long version of that. We could have had the
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, thank you very much for that, because we do try to keep the show clean.
And that's where I believe that's where part of the line is for provocation. Once you start going negative and nasty and foul and all that other stuff, I think that's where, at least for me, because if you're asking questions, serious questions, that's fine. Because even in life, there are times where you ask the white knuckle questions that aren't easy to ask or answer. But you know what? Such is life. So.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know, like sometimes I hear people really provoking, like, well, there was one particular show, I won't bother mentioning the name, but anyway, this one in particular was saying, well, as far as I'm concerned, you're just a blankety blank, as you say. Very, very weak. You can't touch me. You can't do anything. What do you think about that? And all this, blah, blah. Well, then the next thing, like he was saying this in front of the other team members, trying to make himself look really brave, Well, then when he gets in the room, supposedly by himself, he says, oh, I don't know if there's any ghosts around here, but please don't hurt me because I'm all by myself now. And I'm thinking, well, you wimp. He has the nerve to say this in front of everybody else. And then he turns around and says, well, please don't hurt me. I'm all by myself. But anyway, we got another question here. The question is, what is, whoops, it just went off on me there. Hang on one sec, please. What is the most fulfilling experience that you can share with us?
Fulfilling, is that the word you said?
Yes. Yes.
Well, see, this isn't an investigation either. This was just a random Saturday when I was walking around the mall with my team hat on at a yard sale in the mall, and walked past an older gentleman. Probably, he told me he was 80 something. We were talking about some of the stuff on his table, and I didn't buy anything from him. I didn't think much of it. And we walked around, and then we came back by, and he met me in the middle there because he's behind his table. He met me in the middle, and he grabbed me by the hip in this, in this busy place. He wanted my attention, and I looked at him and said, just looked at him, and he said, "I've got to tell you something." And he, we're close. He's like in my ear at this point. "Got to tell you something." I said, "Okay, go ahead." I don't know this guy from anywhere except 5 minutes ago when we were talking about some tools on this table.
Right.
But I see you're into the paranormal, and I know you'll appreciate this and not make fun of me. And I said, "Okay." My wife passed 6 months ago, and I see her every morning when I get up. And it some mornings it's nice, and some mornings it isn't because I miss her and all. He went down the line. He says, I thought I had to tell somebody. It's been 6 months, and I've seen it every morning. But I had to tell somebody, and I knew if I told my kids, they'd put me in the home because I'm crazy. So,
Well,
I just wanted I had to tell someone. I put my arm around him, gave him a hug, and told him it's okay. She's there. You're fine. Keep doing what you're doing. Don't tell your kids, and walked away.
yeah. Well, that's great. Like both my parents have passed, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss them. I really wish that they were here, that I could just sit and have a little chat with them. And you don't realize at the time when your parents are alive how valuable they really are. And then once they pass on, that's something else. But I had a strange experience here. It was a dream, and in the dream, I was in the home that I'm in now, and Mom and Dad all of a sudden were sitting in the dining room with me. We were sitting there chewing the fat, having a nice conversation, and partway through the conversation, it dawned on me. I'm in the dream. I'm saying, "Hey, how come you two are here? You both passed on." Well, then I woke up. Well, it was kind of amazing, but I still think that in their own way they saw this house.
Very possible. I mean,
I
it
think so.
could be saying it out. And that's. I was just sitting here thinking about, as you were saying that, deja vu about dreams, because I had a dream when I was probably a teenager. I don't know. It was weird. It woke me up because it was so weird and out of place. I was driving, and there were two younger girls in the back seat of my car, and the one hauled off and smacked the one with a sandal. Didn't know the kids. Didn't understand. Strange. Totally out of left field at the time, and it bothered me for a while. And I went, "Yeah, whatever. Must have been something on TV that I just seen instead of actually dreamed." We were doing a parade with the team, and I ended up with two of one team member's daughters in the back of my car because we were carpooling, and that's just how it worked out. Driving down the stretch of road, I look up in my mirror, whack! That girl hits the other girl in the head with her sandal. That was the deja vu. It probably happened 15, 16 years after I had it. I looked up, same stretch of road, totally freaking out because A, they're fighting in the back of my car, B, I'm trying to drive, and C, I've just seen something that I've seen before and have no explanation for.
That is weird, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was something so inconsequential to even have the dream in the first place. Because when you think about deja vu, you think about being somewhere like in London and seeing something really cool. Here I am.
Yeah.
Now that was it. That was my extreme deja vu moment, and it's just
Yeah, that is strange.
And it stuck with me. I mean, I knew it as soon as it happened. I remembered having that dream.
No doubt.
I can't even remember what I had for lunch. I can't even remember what I had for lunch today, but I remember.
That good, eh?
Yeah, maybe it was actually pretty good. I do actually remember, but that's not that far off. That
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Deja vu. It's a funny thing. Like, okay, myself with my Christian background, I was always told that as a Christian, I should have nothing to do with paranormal, and that past lives are irrelevant. You don't have past lives. You live once. It says in the Bible, you live once, you die, and after that, the judgment. And I don't know, like, I still kind of have that belief that you live once. And yet, the funny part about it is, yes, I have had deja vu experiences, which indicates to me that I have been there before. I've seen the building. I know where all the rooms are. I can just walk through the building as though I know exactly what room is what, where it is, that kind of a thing. So I'm still kind of at loggerheads at that.
Yeah,
Or with that.
past lives get me going.
Yeah,
One
right.
got both hands going here because I understand what you're saying, and I want to agree with that because it doesn't make sense to me. But on the other hand, I've heard some really cool stories about people with the different birthmarks and different experiences, and
Yeah, same here.
I just
Exactly.
I can't get them in the same. Even I can't get them that close. I got up on screen here that close, but I can't get it. I can't. That's one of the topics that really. Some of these topics I have flipped and flopped on, and this one I just have not even ever taken a hard position on the flip and flop on. I just can't.
Yeah, no, I understand. But that's, I don't know, I still have a problem with that because okay, I am still a Christian, but as far as deja vu, no, I still have that feeling. I've been here before. I know my way through the building. Why do I when I've never seen it? So I guess really, even though I say I don't believe in past lives, there must be some kind of truth to it that I'm missing, or something that I'm missing anyway.
Well,
I just don't know quite how to describe that.
I've got one that blows my mind when I think about it. Here, you want to try this on for size? That
Sure.
all of time is happening at the same time. I know this sounds like a trip. That we're all living in the same time on the same. It's happening all around us. So like 1860s is happening in the blink of another eye. So every once in a while, you thin the veil out and you see right past into a different time. It's a real trip when you start thinking about it.
It sure seems that way. Like, I know the number of times that I have used the Spirit Box or the PSB7, and I've been asking for Queen Anne Boleyn. Like I say, I don't want any negative spirits. I don't want this, that, so and so, but I want to speak to Anne Boleyn. And it's amazing some of the things that I've heard. And then, oh, gee, sometimes you'll ask other questions. Like another person that I was talking to, I asked her, I said, "Are you a Christian?" She answered back within a second, "Yes, ma'am." So I don't know, like they say, an awful lot of people say that the PSB7 is just a joke and all you're getting is radio signals. But no, I don't really honestly think that we are. Are you familiar? Like, I'm sure you're familiar with the PSB7, or do you use it very much, Jim?
I have a ghost box. I don't know which one it is, but I, I'll never forget. I was in a different room, and some of my team members, it was getting late and getting a little punch drunk. And some of my team members, some of the ones that have been around the team a while, asked the ghost box about me because apparently this is just the thing to do when you're bored. You start asking questions about me, and you'll love this. It referred to me as Hitler and a Nazi,
Oh,
and
wow.
they played it. They told me what it said, and I said, "Well, we all know that's true. I'm a dictator around here, so let's just keep that on. That's true." Because apparently earlier in the investigation, I had been a little snippy with a couple of them, and apparently the joke is that's what they were thinking, and didn't say it out loud to me at that point. So they had to use the ghost box to get my message across, and I said, "Well, it's not going to change." So somebody has to lead, and unfortunately, I crank it up 2 levels too many, but that's okay. So
Oh, that
that's my
happens.
ghost box story. I wasn't even in the room for it, but
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I know one particular time I was using the ghost box and I was just asking, are there any friendly spirits? I don't want any demons. I don't want any negatives. I just want some friendly people to come through and say hello. Anyone there would like to say hello this evening? And all of a sudden I got, "Hi, dear. It's me, your dad." And then I got another one saying, it's Mom, I love you. And Dad came back and said, it's me, George, I love you. So, I mean, there's got to be something to it. I'm darn sure there is.
Even if you're, quote unquote, picking up the radio frequencies, the odds are against you of picking up certain words, and that I think love is one of them, in my opinion. I don't know.
I think so.
As much talk radio as I listen to, love is not one of the words that comes out too often.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been told, like, I've heard I love you on numerous occasions, and it's not just been from my parents. It's been from other people too, like just spirits that come through, and they'll say, I love you, or help me. I love you. I need your help. That kind of a thing. So I don't quite know how to explain it without sounding stupid or people thinking that I'm nuts. If they think I'm nuts, that's fine. That's up to them. It's their problem. But
everybody enjoys a little peanut butter once in a while.
Well, there you go. Yeah, exactly. But I kind of tend to take it pretty seriously because they are talking through the white noise. So that I really do think that there is something to it, for sure.
Yeah, there is something to it, but I get about 5 minutes in, and I get really punch drunk of it because I start hearing really, really random things that aren't necessarily even coming through the ghost box. My mind just takes over, and it's not good. I mean, it might be good, it might be bad, but it's not what they're getting off the ghost box. My mind just starts operating again, and yeah. So I that's why they do it with me in a different room, because they know that I'll start shouting out things that are just totally inconsequential. The question they ask or what's even being.
Have you ever noticed too? Sometimes you'll get on the spirit box and you'll get a number of responses, and then all of a sudden it just goes completely. Everything drops, and then all of a sudden, is that right?
Yeah, that's true of a lot of things. You'll start getting somewhere. You'll start narrowing. You'll get too close, as I always refer. You'll get too close to your answer, and then that's where it ends. So, that leaves you with more questions.
Yeah.
Maybe we should name the day show "More Questions Than Answers, No Matter What Happens." But
that could be. It's hard to say, but I mean, sometimes I've been on there and I've been listening to different people coming in, and then I'll say, well, can you tell me what it's like on the other side? And I've heard answers, hell. I've heard answers, beautiful. I mean, totally, totally different. And then there was one answer I heard, and they were literally singing. They said, praise God, but it was like they were singing as they were saying it. So it leaves an awful lot to one's imagination, I'm sure. And yet, you know what you hear when you hear it. Now, when I record EVPs, I record it on the, what the heck do you call that? The audio editor. I record it on the audio editor. Then I play it back, and I really fine-tune to listen and listen and listen. And it's amazing, some of the stuff that you'll hear in the background, too.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff. It's just amazing what comes through. And back to your what's out there question. I was sitting around talking to somebody, and they brought up a picture for me. And it was a busy New York street. And they said, what do you see? And I said, busy New York street. And they said, no. Riddle me this. Is this heaven or is this hell? And I said, well, that'd be hell for me because I don't like busy streets, busy towns. And that person said, but there's probably 1,500 people in that picture that they aren't bothered by it or enjoy that. And that'd be their heaven, being busy, being in the bustle, being in the tussle.
Right.
So that kind of makes you wonder when somebody says hell, are they, because if they're one of those city people and they're buried in the cemetery out the way, hell.
Yeah, there's definitely two ways of looking at that. I can understand that for sure. There was another response that I had too. If I'm just trying to recall the exact words. Darn it. It's maddening. You think of these things, just the second that you're going to say it, slips your mind. And I had this happen to me last week too, and it makes me so angry with myself when it happens. But,
Well, that's why
yeah,
when I'm on air, I start writing notes
yeah.
about things. That's why I don't do video,
Then
because
you lose the
I'm
note if
seriously
you
writing or
Oh,
doodling or writing or
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be frustrating for darn sure. But I know one time, this was last summer, my partner with freelance, Marie, she and I were together at the Dyer Memorial. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. It's in Huntsville. And so anyway, we were there, and it was amazing some of the stuff that we got while we were just like in the forest area there with the PSP-7. It was really amazing, some of the stuff that we got there. And right around the, like, they've got this big tall monument that's built, and up top they have 2 urns, and their ashes are in those urns. And we were asking questions around there, and some of the answers we got were pretty amazing there too. So we're planning on going back again this year and see what else we can find and who else we can talk to.
When you first said it, the name clicked, but I can't. I've heard
Well,
so
that's
many
okay.
places, so many names, so it just
Oh yeah,
it's
no
bad
doubt.
now. It's bad because I've heard, and I just the rest of it didn't connect, which is, I don't know if that's good, bad, or I'd rather have not
Well,
even heard of it now. You know what I'm saying? Than heard and can't remember.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I know. You hear so many names in so many places that it is hard to try to remember everything all at once. That's for sure.
I'm trying. I'm gonna keep trying to learn these things until, well, probably I die, and then it won't matter anymore. But
Yeah. Well, you never know. No, if you do, if you come back, maybe we'll be talking to you. It depends who goes first. You never know.
here's the thing. I've said this. I think I said this on my show. I first said it on a different somebody else's show. It's just I was screwing with their head. But now I've said it enough that I'm just gonna keep saying it. When I die, do an EVP session. Put a candle beside the thing. And I'm gonna burn your house down if you do it before I'm in the ground. So make sure you get that EVP session done first. Like, as soon as you hear the news, just run out and do it. Make sure you get the candle there so I can burn your house down, because I've got so much audio out there that you can fake anything you want to fake. So if your house burns down, well, no. And I'm just kidding. Don't take that personally.
Oh,
I'm
you're
not going to burn
mean.
your house down. Maybe there might be somebody I might do just to.
Now, if you had a chance, just a question, just for the heck of it, Jim, if you had a chance to haunt people that drove you up the wall, would you take up the opportunity? I kind of think I would.
Well, the question, if I could do that and still be around the ones I love, yes. Now, if it was drive people nuts or be around the ones I love, I'd be around the ones I love. But if I could do
Oh,
both,
hey. Yeah. There
I
are
mean,
some. I would just. I'm
yes, there
sorry.
are
Go
some.
ahead.
There are definitely some. I don't, more than some.
There are some I'd just love to pick up their computer and poof, right across the room and just see what they say or how they react.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't react. They'd be so mad. They'd think that they're desperate or what. There'd always be some other excuse. So.
Oh, heaven only knows. Or they might say, oh, it's that blasted Elaine. She's here.
So you're throwing computers. I'm burning houses down. We're off to a good start.
Oh, we certainly are. Good grief. Good program, I must say. So anything else you'd like to tell us?
Oh my goodness! Anything else? I don't know. See. I don't normally talk about myself, so that's the hard part, because normally I'm talking to others, and
Okay.
that I let
Right.
them
What about
drive the
your
show.
team?
It's good. We haven't got together in a while, but every time, every once in a while, I'll wake up and there'll be some. I'm sure you understand this. There'll be some message on my Facebook from one of them that is just not repeatable, but it's funny and makes me smile every time I get one. So, and the good news is it when we do get together, it's like we've seen each other the day before. There's no lag. It's just we're all back together, and it's almost like a second family. So it's good.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I know. We have people that we get together with too, and it's a lot of fun. And oh, gee, we have barbecues and all that kind of fun stuff, and it's a good way, as you say, to get together, chew the fat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
good to
nice.
get together.
You kind of keep in contact.
Yeah, you get together, throw the kids together. The kids like playing together, so
Yep.
that's all. That's half the battle.
Yeah, for darn sure. Well, okay, Jim. If you don't have anything else that you'd care to say or anything you can think of, then I guess we might as well sign off.
Wait. Before we sign off,
okay, go ahead.
The Malliard Report, Tuesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
TMR247.com. It's over 140, 50 podcasts over there for free. Streaming, podcast, chat room. Just go over there. YouTube, it's all there. TMR247.com. If you can't find it there, you don't need it.
Okay, well, that's great. Is there anyone else you'd like to give a plug to, or a howdy do, or?
Oh no, I can't. I gotta see. The problem is I start doing that and I forget somebody, and then they'll be the one that listens.
Yeah, they'll be the one that listens and say, "Why didn't you mention me?" And then the fight's on, right?
Yeah. So I just,
as long as it's not your wife.
Well, she doesn't listen to most of the stuff I do because she has to listen to me as it is. So she doesn't listen. I sent her a promo I did the other day, and she said that's the first time she listened to anything from my show in 2 years. So that's okay. She doesn't need to listen to it. I'll tell her all about it if it happens that she needs to know. So.
Okie dokie. Well, listen, Jim, I just wanted to say thank you so very much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure having you, and I hope you can come on the show sometime again.
Anytime. I don't shut up, so I'll be sitting here talking to myself the rest of the evening.
All right. Well, you take care. Thanks very much. God bless.
Thank you. Be well.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching tonight. And signing off, this is Elaine from Elaine's Freelance Paranormal Investigations. And the channel is Elaine's Extreme Paranormal Channel. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks again, Jim. You take care. Bye.